I've done a long form post, 5 months to be exact, and I'm so sorry, but I am at an extreme fork in the road. Not even a fork, like a crazy splintering, a crazy delta of options. And I literally am typically a very decisive person where I just like, okay, we're gonna chase a full-time job. Okay, we're gonna do full-time content creation. Okay, we're going to apply to be on a reality television show. So I'm doing all of them, which I can't decide if that's a terrible idea or a great idea. Right now, I'm just feeling like life of doors. Like keep all of them a little bit ajar, keep all your options open because I don't know. I hope that doesn't dilute manifestation because I think all of them are great. And right now, if you're just catching up, I lost my corporate job about a year and a half ago and accidentally stumbled upon content creation. We now have 160,000 followers across three major different platforms that I'm really enjoying. And that provides a bulk of money that I survive off of, though admittedly, it's like bursts and then like very dry seasons as far as the money from that. I haven't really learned how to stabilize content creation or to maybe be great at monetizing it. I think that just takes time. One, with getting and building larger community and getting better engagement, but also there's like a business side to it, and there's just things that I'm kind of avoiding. Like I'm not really big on like selling products, and that's like a huge area that does really really well. But outside of that, I'm doing two consulting projects, which have been such a godsend because, or source or whatever you call it. I don't necessarily believe in a particular religion or anything like that. And one of my contracts is in change management, which is actually like the first decade of my career was in consulting and change management. And that one pays really well and it's a great client. The second thing that I do is I'm doing consulting where I'm doing marketing and PR for one of my friends' small businesses. They just opened a pickleball place and I'm having so much fun. I'm finding that to be really rewarding. I think because it's so tangible, the results of like, oh, we like are selling memberships. Oh, we got people to turn out to this event. Oh, we're getting this many views and followers for their accounts. And it's like my best friend from childhood. I've known the owner since we were in third grade. I was one of the groomsmen in her wedding. I am a godfather to one of her children. And it's just so lovely. So I think having those three things has been really helpful from a financial perspective, but also so challenging mentally because they're so different. And I think being able to switch gears constantly between them is something I'm still learning how to finesse. Because if you just like clock in for your job, it's like you're focused on like whatever your job is for that day and you're kind of wearing that hat. I feel like I'm code switching quite a bit and I'm still trying to figure that out. One of the wild card opportunities that I'm navigating right now is last year I had quite a few reality television producers reach out to me and casting directors. Nothing that was a great fit though, if I'm being completely honest. But it opened the idea of that being even on the table, which I never really thought about. So I spent a little bit of last year thinking about, okay, if I were to do a show, what would I want to do? And if you are not watching Traders, it's amazing. I just watched season 4. I won't do any spoilers here. It's very addictive. It's essentially a murder mystery game, which I love because I've literally hosted murder mystery birthday parties that I have single-handedly facilitated and made people dress up for. I'm that bitch. And essentially, there's like faithfuls and there's traders, and each day there's a challenge, and then each day everyone gets together and they get to vote to banish out one person, and they're trying to banish a traitor out, but the traders are hidden. No one knows who the traders are, but the traders. And then at night, after the banishment, the traders go to like the little turret in the castle and they get to murder someone. And then the next day starts. So each day, 2 people are theoretically evicted from the castle, whether it's a banishment or a murder. Anyway, it was a delight. I'm addicted to it. And so I actually put together an application. I have no idea how I did. I've never done an audition self-tape before. And I wasn't reached out to, whereas last year I was reached out to by some of these casting directors, but just none of them were a good fit. And maybe that was silly. Maybe I should have just like said, yes, I'll do it. But none of it felt right. And I'm kind of a person that just wants to, I have guardrails around my values and what interests me and what feels right and what feels comfortable. So yeah, I submitted my application. I actually filmed a bunch of practice takes because I was trying to come across as not scripted, but still hitting the points that I wanted to. And then I had this huge plan to like wear a really cute outfit and be in this really beautiful space to film. And I liked one of my early takes that were just no pressure so much that I actually just ended up using that. I don't know if that's gonna be a good idea or a bad idea, but fingies, crossies. And yeah, that's like one of the wild cards. I also saw like a really good job on LinkedIn, kind of in my old field. And I went ahead and got a referral and applied to it. So I'm still a little all over the place when it comes to direction. And I think that's just coming from a space of wanting to feel stable again. And this new life is fun. And I do like how creative, and I do love how I don't report to anyone, but I'm still very much trying to figure out like, okay, how do I get my own apartment again? How do I have, nice healthcare again? How do I contribute to my 401k again? Because those are all things that have been on pause for a while. And I'm feeling a deep need to be on my own and have my apartment again and have a home. I think that's like the Capricorn in me that wants all those things. But maybe I should be owning the chaos, owning the wildness a little bit more. Because I have been looking at apartments in either San Francisco or in Oakland. And one thing that I've been really struggling with is, okay, well, once I sign that, like that's like a huge payment every month. What if I just took that money and traveled? What if I just took that money and, went somewhere and lived cheaply? I just found this really cool website called Trusted House Sitters. I was actually referred to it by a friend who has used it. And essentially you get to stay in people's homes for free because you house sit and pet sit for them. And then likewise, you can post your properties if you want people to come pet sit or house sit for you. So there's a lot of great ways out there to live with less. So I don't know, I'm having a lot of just feeling like this pendulum of ideas and decisions and things in front of me quite constantly. So who knows where this is all leading. But what I can tell you is in mid-March, I'm traveling to New York for a week for my friend's birthday. Then I'll go to DC for a week. I have a couple of content gigs that I've booked that I'm really excited about. And then I'll come back to California for a couple of weeks. And then I go to NorCal for one of my clients and a birthday party also. And then I go back to DC for a week. And that gets me to like the end of May. So it's going to be a really busy next few months. I've hit a lot of my health and milestones, which is so interesting because actually when I first lost my job, I wrote down like some goals that were not job related because it was like I felt so unmoored and so like things were out of my control. I was like, okay, well, what can I control? And one of them was like mind, body, spirit alignment. And what's so interesting is I was 250 pounds in like 2024, like spring, summer 2024. And then by July of 2025, I'd lost my job in November, December of 2024. Then by July of 2025, I lost 30 pounds. So I was down to 220. And then I hit a wall. And so last summer, I was like, okay, I really, even though it was already like halfway through summer, I was like, all right, I want to get my body on lock and I need help. What can I do? So I actually hired a personal trainer. And that has been so good. His name's Hunter. He's like this straight guy, this Marine. He cracks me up in a way that I don't know that he intends to, but it's just so funny. He is dating this girl right now, and so I always ask him about that. And he's always like taking her on these like activity dates. Everything he does, he's very, very sweet, but everything is like activity based. And I'm like, I think that's sweet to a degree, but like at a certain point, I think it feels like a crutch. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. And I tell him all this in person. I'm like, okay, it's a lot of like maybe just like conversation, maybe just like a hang. Like not every moment with your partner is always going to be with this like third element of entertainment. You can't always have like these things going. However, it is very sweet and I do love to support him. I think I'm going to do I have a content idea with him. He's super attractive, like this really just like buff ex-Marine guy. Which is why I hired him. He has a great ass. And I was like, if your ass looks like that, I want my ass to look more like that. Anyway, long story short, my new content idea that I'm going to film with him maybe this week is I'm going to ask him a series of gay words that I have a strong suspicion he will have no idea what they are. And I'm going to ask him to define them. And I think that'll be really funny because I did another video with him a while back and it did very well. And I was like, you're just going to get a lot of new gay followers, probably, Hunter. And he was like, I'm good with that. He's like, as long as they need training advice and they support me, I'm like, yeah, we could do that. We could do that. But anyway, that's been going really, really well. It's been a really slow progress. But from July to now, I'm now down to like 200 pounds, which is like amazing. And a lot of recomp, a lot of muscle gaining, a lot of progressive overload, so heavy lifting just 3 times a week. And that has been just like wonderful for my progress. So I've gained a lot of muscle and I've lost a ton of fat. And then he also just did like some macros tracking posts for me. So he was like, okay, here's what you need to eat in a day. And kind of what I found, I don't know if this is a product of being like gay, a product of being my age, like a millennial, that carbs were evil, but I was not eating enough carbs. I was eating a decent amount of protein and I was eating way too much fat. So we recalibrated all that and that really worked wonders because now I eat a lot of carbs and a lot of protein and then my fat is like a much more moderate amount. And I found for me in my body, like lower fat was what made results happen, which was great because before I'd always just had calorie goals and now I understand kind of like the macronutrients going into my body. So I assume the next layer will be acing the micronutrients that my body needs because I'm not really thinking about that right now. But it's been a really good thing and I feel really great. Like almost like if we get casted for reality TV, we've really prepared for the moment. So that's exciting. And I'm still in California. California is beautiful. I've been going on a lot of daily walks to recharge. I did a series that I started like a week ago talking about feeling like your spark is gone. I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but sometimes when you get older or you're aging, it just feels like, you wake up and you're tired and it's like the things that spark joy bring less joy, or the same things that got you going, it's just a little less there. I don't know if this is making any sense whatsoever, but I just had this sensation of like, I really want to reinvigorate like that inner spark for me because I think that's important. So I've been trying to do things differently this last week, and it's helping. So a lot of that is trying to instinctually do the opposite of what maybe my urges are. So a lot of times I'll watch TV at night. I'm actually reading books right now. Usually when I read books, I read nonfiction because I feel like it's important for me to be productive. I'm on my 3rd fantasy book and I feel great. And my dreams have become really vivid and I'm loving the escapism. So that's been really fun. On my walks, I usually go by the beach and I never actually put my feet in the sand or go in the ocean. I'm allowing myself to do that all the time. Or last weekend when I went to the actual beach for a beach day, I didn't go to the same beach. I decided to go be on an adventure and go to a beach that normally I would be like, ugh, that's going to be so annoying. Like there's going to be traffic. The parking's going to be such insane. Like what if the beach isn't good? What if there's too many rocks? Who cares? Go on an adventure. Just trying to like break out of the cycle, the inner critic, the logic side of me, which is pretty strong. And I think sometimes in us, elements of our personality or elements of behavior become really rigid or become almost overbearing. And it's not that any of those things need to go away in us or in me. I think sometimes they just need to be recalibrated and in balance with other aspects of whimsy and fun and taking a breather. Like if I go on a beach walk and it's fucking gorgeous out, why wouldn't I just pause in the middle of my walk? I don't need to keep pace. I don't need to be in a rush. I don't need to come sit at a computer. Like, enjoy it. Touch sand, touch grass, take a break. So I'm trying to do those things. And that has been really wonderful. I'm feeling actually a lot better in a very short period of time. And I think it could be really challenging because you're like, well, what's the playbook for this? And I think truly the playbook is do a 180 of what the urges are, or do the opposite of what you're thinking, or if you feel like you shouldn't do something, kind of maybe go for it. At least for me. Not if you are recovering from anything and the urges are things you can't do. Don't do that. Anyway, those are some updates from me. I still have no idea what I'm doing on social media, so you can roast me in the comments if you relate to any of these little vignettes of stories about your spark and reigniting it, about resetting your life, about making decisions about your life paths, about travel, starting a small business. I'd love to hear from you. Ciao.